Hey everybody, John here. I wanted to make a quick video despite having not made a video personally on the channel for a very long time. But this is with regard to the big Sony announcement tomorrow. It's certainly an exciting thing for people who are in the professional video space. This is a camera that has been, rumored for quite some time, and we finally have an official announcement from Sony. Today is July 21st, 2026, and the announcement will be tomorrow on the 22nd. So after all the rumors for the last couple of weeks, we've kind of suspected that this was the date, but now we have the official announcement, and I'm certainly looking forward to that. I am a Sony shooter, and I use many of their bodies and lenses in our professional workflow here in Washington, D.C., and they're great tools. They're just sort of bulletproof. Of course, they've had their, little issues here and there along the way, but overall, for the style of work that we're doing, which is primarily interview, corporate, federal government stuff, I mean, they've been really great. And I think in today's day and age, it's hard to go wrong. Pretty much all the tools are wonderful. So it's just the camp that we're in, and certainly seeing some innovation from Sony is a great thing. Their FX3 has been such a wonderful and pervasive tool in the industry. So many people are using it to create wonderful work. So I actually don't own an FX3. I own so many of the Alpha 7 bodies. I've got multiple I think A7 IVs, multiple A7 Vs. We've got a couple FX6s, FX9. The FX3 was never one that we got into just because we already had the form factor kind of with the A7 bodies. And so seeing this sort of update, maybe a little bit more robust, feature-packed version of an FX3 in the FX5, if that's what it's going to be called, is certainly exciting. But I just got to see the product announcement via YouTube, and it was really intriguing, and it's not because of the camera that was featured, actually. It's because of the lens that was attached to it. And I've already had a little back and forth in some YouTube comments about what this might be, but it's certainly very exciting. So I just wanted to quickly switch over and play this for you. So this is the official Sony announcement. So I'm just going to play this. Hopefully the audio comes through. So you can see July 22nd, 2026, Cinema Line. So we know it's an FX camera. Lighting the way forward. Okay, so I just want to pause here. So obviously, I'll put myself up in the corner. I'll do this. We know from many other Sony product announcements and other companies in general, DJI and Sony actually have kind of a similar vibe with the way they do these silhouettes on their product announcements. But, we can see that there is a new camera. There is some kind of a top handle. Maybe that's the EVF. Maybe that's the audio top handle. Not totally sure. But the lens that is attached to the body is particularly intriguing for me here. And I've already had somebody in a comment on YouTube say, oh, well, that's just a 16-35 f2.8 Mark II. And I don't know. I really don't know. And maybe somebody could actually do some overlays and measurements and make an accurate analysis of whether that statement is accurate or not. But to me, this lens looks like it's longer than a 16-35 2.8. The Mark II was very similar to the first gen, and notably, I never upgraded because of how similar they were, despite adding like aperture ring and a few other little bells and whistles. But to me, I hope, and this is the more exciting part of this announcement for me, because I hear people say a lot, marry the lens but date the camera, or however that phrase goes. And really all that's saying is that the camera bodies and the technology for the cameras is going to change regularly. More recently, we haven't been on quite the same update cycle that we have been in the last 5 years, and maybe you could look at the global economy and other supply chain shortages for that being a major reason. But you're more than likely, if you're a professional video person, or you own a production company or whatever, you're going to work with a lot of different camera bodies. There are going to be different productions that call you in to work with a variety of different cameras, whether that's if you're at the very high end, you're in the airy space, the red, and maybe higher end Sony bodies. If you're in a mid-range space, maybe you're working with Blackmagics and Sonys and Canons and this and that. And so, the camera that you're on is going to change, but investing in good glass, that makes a world of difference for the images that you're producing. And I've heavily invested in a majority of what's available for the G Master lineup, which is, they've been, again, really, really great tools. But one of the major gaps that I feel like Sony has yet to kind of update and compete with is a wonderful lens that I've shot with many people who have this lens, but it's the Canon 24-105 f2.8, and they updated that from a constant aperture f4 down to a 2.8. That's like just such a good lens. And as somebody who's shot a lot of events, a lot of high level, federal spaces. I'm talking like, maybe you're in the White House one day and maybe you're in the State Department one day, like having the versatility of a lens that can get you all the way out to 24 millimeters at the wide end and punch into 105. And if you've got one of these newer, like in my world, the Sony Alphas, you can put APS-C crop mode, right? So now you've got a lens that can 1.5 magnify, and you're still getting a really sharp, sometimes 14, up to 14 or higher megapixel image, depending on the camera body you're on. So the versatility of having a 24-105 is like so awesome. 24-70, 28-70, really amazing lenses, but depending on the room you're in, it kind of leaves something there to be desired at the long end, because you're like, man, I just can't quite get close enough. Yeah, you can crop, and if that's what you have to do, you have to do it. But you're kind of stuck between that. For what's currently available, 24-105 is just such a good focal range, because at the 70 millimeter mark, you're just not quite there. And then if you're going to pop out the 50-150, 50 is not wide enough for a lot of small spaces at all, and it's certainly not a 70-200. You're just going to miss out big time on the wide end. So it's exciting, certainly, that this may be that lens. I'm sure people are going to evaluate this and enhance the image and so on and so forth. We really don't have that much time to wait. We're less than a day away from having an official announcement, so who knows? But based on what I could see after I increased the exposure of that image and try to control and play with the contrast and shadows a little bit, after the slash, which is generally after the aperture, so it's 2.8 or 4 or whatever the case may be, after the slash, to my eyes, I see a 1 and a 0. Could that be a 1 and a 6? If I was going with the other guy's comment on YouTube, maybe. It's hard to tell. But man, would that be great if Sony could come out with an updated version of what already exists, which is a 24-105 f4, but bring that aperture down to a 2.8. Maybe this, lens is, from a scale perspective, not large enough to actually be that, but Sony's known for making some pretty remarkable weight reductions, size reductions in their lenses, while maintaining performance and maintaining really high performance aperture ratings. So we'll see. I know all the hype has been around the camera itself, the FX5, which I'm not going to go over the specs with you. There are 1,000 other videos on YouTube that are already doing that, and again, less than a day out. So. The lens, though, man, if we could get that 24-105 f2.8, what a killer lens for event work. So versatile, both from the photo perspective and the video perspective. I would really like to see Sony do something with that to compete with Canon, because it just doesn't seem like there's anything out there right now. I think Sigma has a comparable offering, but to have something that's native G Master to the E-mount would be just remarkable. So I'll be watching tomorrow just to see what's up. I would really love to pick up some FX5s. Our work oftentimes at events requires that we have like multiple interview rooms running. As an example, for an event, a big event that we have every year coming up in November for a veterans organization. It's grown steadily over the years, but we'll have a DP in 1, 2, 3, 4 rooms. 2 of those rooms are 2-person interviews, so that requires 3 cameras. So you're looking at 2 cameras, 4 cameras, 7 cameras, 10 cameras, and then a conference, panel with 2 more cameras. It's like a lot of cameras. It's a lot of equipment. And so, I'm of the mentality that I don't generally sell equipment because I end up using it depending on the event we're working on. And it's just one less thing that I potentially have to rent. And I'm not saying everybody has to follow that by any means, but it's something that it's a strategy that I've used and it's worked well for the growth of myself and my company. But man, it'd be great to have, one or two FX5s to add to the lineup based on all of the wonderful specs that are coming out. And so sounds like it's going to be a really capable camera, something that hopefully helps people's workflows, keeps them efficient, and helps them make some money and put food on the table. So thanks again for watching. Looking forward to tomorrow, and I'll see you all again soon. Thank you.